program is not intended to take the place of your personal physician's advice, and it is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Discuss this information with your own physician or healthcare provider to determine what is right for you.
Hey folks, Dr. Joe here. Hope everybody's having a wonderful day. As always, I'm having a wonderful day. And as I through the weeks and through the days that go by, I always try to pick up ideas for shows. I'm always trying to see what's current. And a lot of patients call our office, not a lot, but it happens sometimes, that patients will call the office and they want medication. They want pain pills. And sometimes they get a little pushy, and I tell them I'm a chiropractor, whether I can't write prescriptions if I wanted to, and then they, of course, always go away. And then, serendipitously, I was looking through some of my files. I've got piles and piles of research everywhere. I'm a little obsessive about this stuff. And I found this article, and it says about doctor shopping, and patients can be addicted to opioids. It's one of the primary reasons drug overdoses have become the leading cause of injury and death in the United States, with nearly 17,000 fatal overdoses of pain medications in 2011. The last year the figure was launched, according to the CDC. More from heroin and cocaine combined, opioid deaths, more than heroin and cocaine combined, and it's tripled since 1990. Well, this article I pulled out, and I found it was probably about 10 years old. So this crisis is not new. The opioid crisis is not new. In fact, it's old stuff, but it's not getting any better. And in fact, it's getting worse. And just recently, a friend of mine, and I'm friends with her family, she was telling me that her daughter, who's married, her brother-in-law, mid-30s, died of opioid overdose, and he was a great guy and businessman and family man, and the problem came in that he got in a car accident. And after the car accident, he started taking medication to help with the pain. And again, I'm not against medication, please understand that. If you need it, take it. But he got hooked, and then he started doing things illegally. He started going out and buying drugs on the street, and usually if you go to opioids, you go to heroin. I'll talk about those stats if I have time today. And it becomes a real serious issue. And unfortunately, he died. And so it's not something that we can just turn our backs to, because any one of you right now, starting today, if you started taking opioids, pain pills, could become an addict. Because the way the body works is you have a part of your brain, and it's called the nucleus accumbens, and it's where the body releases dopamine. And dopamine gives you pleasure. And so if you're in pain, there's also receptor sites in your brain that receive pain. And what we find with addicts, for example, is that the dopamine receptor sites, they have less dopamine receptor sites than the average person. And so they're more likely to do things to stimulate dopamine release to make them feel pleasure. And that can happen. And if you're genetically predisposed to this, and as of right now, as far as I know, there's no test we can do to test your dopamine receptor sites. And so what can happen is you're not going to know that you're going to become an addict until it's too late. And then kicking the habit, people say, well, just stop doing it. Well, your brain doesn't work like their brain. If your brain worked like their brain, you would understand. You just can't stop doing it. Same thing with sugar. I believe sugar is the most overused drug there is. And people that are taking, hooked on sugar, well, you don't understand it if you're not a sugar addict. And it's all about the brain functioning and neurotransmitters and giving you pleasure and suppressing pain. GABA is a neurotransmitter that suppresses pain. And so if you don't have the right GABA receptor sites in your brain, you're not going to be able to suppress the pain. So there are some genetic predispositions that occur, but that doesn't mean that you should just give in and become a drug addict and die. It means you should start taking some proactive steps. And that's why, especially this case here with a person I knew, car accidents, if you're ever in a car accident, I don't care if the minor damage to the car, $100, $500 worth of damage, if the car was damaged, you were damaged. I was hit by a car when I was somewhere around 10 years old. I was in Germany. First time I ever went anywhere. Grew up in Hoboken, New Jersey. Vacation to us was go to the Hudson River and fish for eels. That was a big vacation for me and my father. And my grandparents, my German grandparents from Germany, and they said, we want to take you to Germany to meet your relatives. Very excited. Anyway, I got hit by a car when I was there. I was on a bicycle. Flipped over, landed on my head. I don't remember any of this. This is what the driver said. He was the only witness. I landed on my head and then rolled off the car and landed in a ditch. And they thought I was dead. This is way before cell phones. And so he had to wait for somebody to come by. He didn't want to leave me, the dead body laying on the side of the road. Somebody came by. They drove into town. They got the ambulance. They came back. And when they put me in the ambulance, I moved. And they said, oh, I guess he's alive. And so that didn't die. And then I played football and I played hockey and I did a lot of stupid things, street fights. And So I have a chronic neck injury, and chiropractic care really has just saved my life. I would probably be an opioid addict had it not been for chiropractic care stabilizing my spine. But every now and then it acts up. And when it acts up, I got to grab one of my doctors and say, do this. We figured out a special adjustment we need just for my neck, and it stabilizes it. Now, if I was the average Joe, and I would be somebody who'd be prone to say, hey, listen, just give me medication to cover up the pain and not try to get to the cause of the pain, chances are I'd be on opioid drugs right now too. But I'm not, because chiropractic care has saved me. But that was a serious accident. But at the time, I didn't know about chiropractic. I was 10 years old. My family didn't know about chiropractic. I wish, if I could change one thing in my life, it would be I would go back and get chiropractic care right after that accident. Now, I most likely wouldn't have these chronic problems. And every day, patients come in our offices with chronic pain, and they say, how long have you had it? 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years? And after they start treatment with us, almost all of them say, I wish I'd done this sooner. I wish I'd known about chiropractic, and I wish I could have gotten this fixed years ago, because now you have arthritis, you have joint inflammation, the joints can wear out, but the bones can actually change their structure. They rub up against each other and wear out. So if you have any type of pain, neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, numbness, tingling, it's a good idea to get it fixed as quickly as possible. So you don't become like me and so many other patients that say, wow, I wish I'd done this sooner. I wish I didn't wait so long to get this treated. So we're talking about today about covering up, fixing pain without opioids. And that's the topic today. And this article then caught my eye. This is a modern article, much more up to date. Prescription drugs now factor in a higher percentage of fatal car accidents than alcohol or marijuana. So, of course, we hear about DUI, DWI, depending on part of the world you live in. But DUI means driving under the influence, DWI, driving while intoxicated. And you get pulled over, and the average is about $10,000. And yet more fatalities now are being related to prescription drugs than for alcohol. So when we come back, I'm going to talk about that. Prescription drugs, marijuana, multiple combination of drugs, the public health reports, what that's saying, and what we need to do to stop that. Now, folks, if you have a healthcare question, I'm going to open up the lines in a little bit, so don't get nervous. I know a lot of you have questions. But if you follow me on Facebook and follow me on Instagram, we're streaming this live on Facebook and Instagram, so you can do that, and then you can send me questions through there as well. So my website is drjoe.com. We're going to talk about supplements soon. We're going to talk about some books you can read. If you want to make an appointment, come see us. We have offices in Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge. We want to be your doctors. We want to help you get well and stay well. Folks, I'm Dr. Joe Esposito on my website, drjoe.com. We'll be right back. If you've never considered chiropractic care, maybe it's time. So here's questions. Chiropractic care. The Plant Paradox. Have you read the book? What do you think? Tell them to ask the questions. Ask questions. If you're watching on Facebook or Instagram, folks, send in your questions. I'll answer them for you. This is a big buzz. The Plant Paradox. It talks about lectins, and lectins are in everything. And what they're talking about is lectins are proteins, and when they get into the body, it can irritate the bowels and cause inflammation of the bowels and can put tears in the bowels. And these big chunks of protein get absorbed into your digestive system. And the doctor who wrote the book, and I'm not saying the book is wrong. I think the book is very well written and very well researched. They're selling this pill you can take to help block the lectins. And I support supplements 100%. I think it's great. That being said, he says you can do grass-fed beef and you can do alcohol, and these are all things you can do because they don't have lectins in them. If they're grain-fed animals, they will have lectins, and you'll be getting that from meat. So I understand it's an issue. However, if you have a healthy digestive system, if your stomach has a lot of good stomach acid breaking proteins into amino acids, chances of you having a lectin reaction are much less. You can also pressure cook your beans and your lentils and your tomatoes and break down the lectins. And that's good too. However, the people who have the longest life expectancy, the lowest amount of heart disease, diabetes, cancer, that say the youngest genetically, as you can do a test on the genes called telomeres, the people that have the longest lives with the healthiest lives are the ones that eat a plant-based diet. Also, the way to get rid of lectins is to pressure cook them. When you heat anything above 110 degrees, you destroy the enzymes. And you need enzymes because enzymes are the things that keep your body healthy and are the reason you, a sack of chemicals, are alive. So I'm going to give you a paradox on the plant paradox. And the paradox is if you're cooking all your food to break down the lectins, you're destroying the enzymes, which speeds up the aging process and can increase your risk of disease. So I would rather that you stick with a plant-based diet. I agree, vegetables, great. Again, if you're going to do things like tomatoes, I'm just watching Ahmad here because I got to make sure when I'm going back on again. Just give me 30 seconds when you can, okay? You're cooking all the food to destroy the lectins, you're not getting the enzymes. So he does say you can eat salads and other things, and I agree with that too. However, I still believe that a plant-based diet is a gazillion times healthier than any other diet whatsoever. And so you want to play both sides of the fence, pressure cook your beans and your lentils and your legumes. Stay away from soy altogether. I don't think you should be doing soy ever. Textured soy proteins, for example, and like the fake meats made with soy give me a blazing headache. Because when they do that, it frees up glutamic acid. Glutamic acid is like monosodium glutamate, which gives me a headache. But I still think a plant-based diet is the best. And if you want to take a lectin preventer supplement, I'm perfectly fine with that. But I don't think you should be doing meat, even if it's grass-fed or wines of any kind, because those are 2 of the 7 deadly sins: alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweeteners. So there's my opinion on that. I think it's a good book. I think it's okay. However, if you want go way deeper into a lifestyle, go to my webpage, drjoe.com, and read my 2 books, Prescription for Extreme Health and Eating Right for the Health of It. And I think you'll get a lot more information there. And then you can combine what you want to do. I never force my lifestyle or my beliefs on anyone. Not my beliefs, my scientific knowledge on anyone. I let you make that decision. Okay? Another question?
So how do you measure sodium and magnesium levels without a blood test?
That's how you do it.
Is that it?
Now, that being said, most people don't get enough magnesium. So here's a little thing you can do to see if you have enough magnesium. If you're eating a good diet with lots of nuts and seeds, you're probably getting plenty of magnesium. If you want to see if you're getting enough, and you don't want to do a blood test, take a magnesium supplement. 30?
30 to traffic.
Okay, got it. Just give me 30 when it's me, okay? Good, okay. Take some magnesium supplements. If you start getting loose stools or diarrhea, you've got plenty of magnesium in your body. You have something called what's called a bowel tolerance. You can only absorb so much nutrients, so much magnesium, so much, pretty much vitamin C is a good one. If you start getting diarrhea, you've got enough magnesium or vitamin C in your diet. If you're not, then double your dose of magnesium, and then when you start getting diarrhea, cut back to the dose that didn't give you diarrhea. Got to go back on the air, folks. So hang on. You can listen too. WSB. Hey folks, Dr. Joe here. So glad you could spend a little time with me. I'm happy. We're talking today about dealing with pain without opioids, because you don't know, and no one knows, if you're going to become addicted to the opioids if you start taking them. And so we try to give you ideas that you can do to avoid ever getting to that point you need to take the opioids. Pretty serious stuff, those opioids. You got to be careful with them. We said right before the break, prescription drugs, marijuana, and multiple drug combinations are frequently found in the blood of drivers involved in fatal car crashes in the U.S., according to a new study in Public Health Reports. So everyone's worried about DUI. Absolutely. You should not drink and drive ever under any circumstances. I don't believe there is a safe level of alcohol when you're driving. But nobody's talking about the opioids or the sleep aids. I'm amazed how many patients come in our offices and they're taking sleep medication. Blows my mind. And I say, well, why do you take sleep medication? Many times it's because they're in pain. And they can't get out of the pain, and then they either listen to my radio shows or my podcasts. Podcasts, by the way, if you like my podcast, if you like this stuff, go to my website, drjoe.com. Thousands of hours of, over 1,000 hours, I should say, of archived podcasts, videos, audios are there. You can go to Stitcher, Google Play, and iTunes. The name of the podcast is For the Health of It, which is the title of my first book, Eating Right for the Health of It. And you can binge listen there as well. So you can go to my website or to the podcast sites, and you can start binge listening a little bit too. It's great. I ran into one of my big boss actually the other day, and he says, listen to your show last week. You're talking about autoimmune problems with dairy products, and he had some questions about it. And he says, you know, I've been listening to you for so many years. He says, and I always learn something new. And I said, good, that's my job. I always want to give you new stuff. And that's why we have the podcast there, because I know I'm a realist. You can't sit and listen to every show all the time, but you can binge listen anytime you like at drjoe.com, because we want you to get this information. We have videos there too, by the way. So a lot of you might be visual learners. Some people are auditory learners, some people are visual, some people read, some people are tactile. If you're a visual learner, the videos are right there. Do not watch them while driving. I hope I don't have to tell you that, right? So we're talking about things that can cause car accidents. Watching my videos is one of them if you're driving. But drunk drivers is not our only concern. There are a lot of drugs that makes it a problem to be behind the wheel, and a lot of people are drinking and mixing the drugs. And there's a word for that. I'm going to tell you what that word is in a little bit. So we're seeing more and more people using drugs and alcohol together. 70% of drivers who tested positive for cocaine also were consuming alcohol. 55% of drivers who tested positive for cannabis also had alcohol in their system. So more than half of the people that are testing for these drugs, and this is from the White House Drug Report, are testing positive for alcohol as well. Don't do it. It's so much cheaper and easier and safer to just take one of the ride sharings that are available now. I use them all the time. I don't drink. I haven't had a drink in, I don't know, 30, 40 years. And I still use the ride share. It's easier, it's quicker, it's cheaper. Let somebody else worry about it. So I want to talk about this study. The study identified several drug trends. 60% of marijuana users were younger than 30, but 39% of prescription users were 50 or older. So it's not just the young kids driving around getting drunk anymore. And as a chiropractor, we see a lot of car accident patients. And many times, people come in and they say, what happened? Drunk driver hit me. People are on the phone that hit me. Distracted driving. And drugs can be distracting, so can your phone. And it's sad because the people that see us, sometimes they're the people that cause the accident, sometimes it's the innocent victims. But when you're strapped in your car, okay, you've got the seatbelt on, your body is contained. So in a minor accident or a major accident, absolutely positively seatbelts are awesome. But what we found was when we started implementing seatbelts way back when, we found that deaths dropped, but neck injuries skyrocketed. Because your body's strapped in, but your neck isn't. So when you get hit, all the force, everything is connected in the car. All the doors are connected, the windows are connected. The only thing that's not connected to anything except your neck, is your head and your neck. It's connected to your body. And that head snaps around. And inevitably, if the car is damaged, your head is going to snap around and you'll have some damage. So it's kind of funny. It's like you look at a Volvo. Volvos are designed to crumble. That's why they're so safe. They absorb the shock. And if you're an engineer, you understand that force is mass times acceleration. So a car weighing, let's say, 2,000 pounds, little tiny car, going 10 miles an hour, 20,000 pounds of force. Go to 20 miles an hour, 40,000 pounds of force, double the size of the car. It's a lot of force that your neck now has to try to absorb. If the car crumbles, there's a lot of car damage. And the insurance company will say, well, the car was damaged pretty badly. That's bad. That means you were hurt. Actually, it could be the other way around. The car can be damaged and you have less damage because the car absorbed the injury, the force. And if the car is not damaged, your body has to absorb the force. So if you're hurt, if you have neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, numbness, tingling, I'm begging you, do the things we're going to talk about today to prevent the damage from happening, permanent damage, by fixing it. We're going to talk about diet, we're going to talk about structure, we're going to talk about chiropractic care, physical therapy if we need it. Sometimes you need injections, pain injections. Perfectly fine with all of that. But you want to get it fixed as quickly as possible because the longer bones are out of alignment, they rub up against each other. And as the bones rub up against each other, the joints actually wear out. And now it's really hard to fix as time goes on because you don't have all the parts. The parts are worn out. So that's why you want to get to us, preferably, or somewhere, to get treatment as soon as possible. In the Atlanta area, we have offices in Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge. If you want to come see us, we'd love to come see you. And in our office, we work on the nervous system. We get the spine, we have 206 bones in the body. In fact, I got a call right before I went in the air from one of my patients. And she said, my foot problem I've had for years because I was a runner, it feels so much better because we adjusted her feet. And so any bone in the body can come out of place. Necks, shoulders, hips, elbows, wrists. And all my doctors are trained to fix all of these things. Okay, my doctors are great. And my doctors, by the way, are handpicked by me and trained by me and are my personal doctors. And they have their own knowledge coming in. So I've got an amazing group of doctors I work with, and the reason is this. I'm their patient. I don't want somebody who isn't better than me working on me. And all my doctors are amazing, and that's why I'm just so proud of all of them. It's great. So, back to where we were. Preventing pain without opioids. Fixing the pain. I shouldn't say preventing, fixing the pain. Mind-boggling. The average person may take up to 14,000 prescription pills by age 70. Isn't that crazy? 14,000 pills by age 70. And this doesn't include over-the-counter medications. These are prescription pills. So if you're taking aspirin over-the-counter, that doesn't even count. By the time you reach your 70s, you can be taking 5 or more pills every day, according to a documentary. It's called Pill Poppers. Virtually no drug is side effect free. By definition, drugs have side effects. And so that's what's happening. You're putting these drugs in your body and you're getting side effects from them. And then many times the drugs cause other problems. You need other drugs to fix those problems, and you just perpetuate this cycle. And I'm amazed, been in practice almost 34 years, how many patients come in and say, Dr. Joe, I'm taking those medications. What are they for? I don't even know anymore. And that blows my mind. Folks, if you have a question, you can send it through my website, drjoe.com, or through Facebook or Instagram, and I'll get to that. My website is drjoe.com. If you want to make an appointment, we have offices in the Atlanta area, Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge. We would love to be your doctors. And not just car accidents, but any neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, digestive issues, nutrition issues. We want to help you get well and stay well. The website again, drjoe.com. Hey, don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back. Okay, that's another segment done. Live radio, folks. This is what it looks like.
All right.
Garrett has questions for me.
What should you eat if you have a light amount of artery blockage?
Same thing you should eat if you have a heavy amount of artery blockage. Let me lower this here. The way you get artery blockage is it could be several things, but if you eat a very high acid diet, alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, artificial sweetener, breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, pastas, the acid gets into the body, and the body has to neutralize the acid. And the body uses calcium as its primary neutralizing agent. So the body will take calcium from the blood, from the bones, to neutralize the acids. But if you get an irritant in the blood vessels, it can scratch, essentially, the side of the artery walls and cause inflammation. When the inflammation occurs, the body lays down calcium, or cholesterol, to fix up, there's English Nick, hey English Nick, to act as a scab, essentially, over the wound. And that's what causes the hardening of the arteries. And so the cholesterol floating around in your blood is bad. I'm not saying it's not, if it's too high. However, that's not the big issue. The big issue is cholesterol stuck to the artery walls. So you can get blood work done and be perfectly normal and have hardening of the arteries. So when you get your blood work done, you want to get your A1C, A1C, which will talk about blood sugar. You want to get your homocysteine checked, and homocysteine is an indicator of how much inflammation there is. And so that's why you want to get your homocysteine checked when you get your blood work done. So how do you dissolve it? Well, you want to eat more raw food. When I say raw, broccoli, cucumbers, tomatoes, avocados, salad, because the raw food has enzymes in it, and enzymes can help break up some of that plaque. You got to cut out the bad foods, which are causing the plaque to begin with. And I would take, as I do every day, Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. I take Dr. Joe's B Complex every day, Dr. Joe's Adrenal Support. If I eat a cooked meal, all cooked food, I also take Dr. Joe's Enzyme Support. Now, if you're... Got Jennifer in the background there. Jennifer's over there. She's wonderful. If I eat a cooked meal, I take Dr. Joe's enzymes with it. You can also take Dr. Joe's Enzyme Support between meals. And perhaps that can help break up the plaque. Because if you eat enzymes with food, it digests the food. If you eat it between meals on an empty stomach, the enzymes can get absorbed into your blood. So that is very, very, very reversible in most cases, and I see it happen all the time in my offices. Next question.
What do you think about stevia?
Stevia is great. Next question. That was an easy one.
And Epsom salts for pain management.
Very good, because it's high in magnesium. And your skin is a sponge. Anything that comes in contact with your skin can be absorbed through your skin. And magnesium is one of the things that many people are low in. We talked about that earlier. So if you take magnesium supplements and you start to get loose stools or diarrhea, you've got all the magnesium you need. You've reached what's called your bowel tolerance. You can't absorb anymore. If you take it and you don't get loose stools, double the dose the next day. If you still don't get loose stools, double the dose the next day. When you hit your bowel tolerance, cut back to the dose you took that didn't give you diarrhea, and that's how much magnesium you should take. But Epsom salts for pain management, excellent stuff.
We got more people asking about the keto diet.
Well, that's the big question right now. You should be eating a keto diet, but a plant-based keto diet. That's my big thing. You should avoid sugar is one of the 7 deadly sins. So I've been talking about this for 40 years now. So yes, you should cut out the sugars, the breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, and pastas. Absolutely, I've been saying that forever. You can't go too keto, though. If you go too keto, like eating meats, a lot of meats and just fats, what's going to happen is your body needs some glucose. And so your body's going to create something called gluconeogenesis in your liver to produce your own sugar. It's going to convert protein into sugar. So is it a good idea to eat whole foods? Absolutely. Is it a good idea to stay away from sugars? Absolutely. Is it a good idea to make your diet consist a lot of meat? I don't think so. That's not a good idea. Now, the keto diet, I understand, is not meat. It's more fat. But fat's still a processed food. Coconut oil, which I'm a big fan of, olive oil, big fan, it's still a processed food. So I'd rather you get your fats from whole foods, like avocados and olives. So I'm okay with it modified a little bit. I would take out the meats and the dairy products from the keto diet, like the cheeses, and go to a plant-based diet.
All right, and how do you reverse damage to your endothelial cells?
Same way. You need enzymes, you need proanthocyanidins, you need antioxidants. And so if you're having damage to endothelial cells, you're talking about your blood vessels, I'm assuming, that's what we just talked about. You got to alkalize your system. And here's a little test you can do. Get some pH paper. Okay, you can get this at a drugstore. And tomorrow morning, well, first morning you get it, pee a little bit to clean out your urethra, and then pee on the strip. You want to be about 6.5 to 7.0. That's perfect. If you're below 6.5, around 6 or 5, you're way too acidic. And that can be irritating the endothelial cells. You want to get your body more alkaline. You do that with Dr. Joe's Super Greens, Dr. Joe's Essential Source. I have them every day. This is what they look like. We have some little product placement today. I take a scoop of each every single day, and it really alkalizes your system. Next question.
What would be the first couple of things you'd advise somebody to do with arthritis in their lower back?
Osteoarthritis is always mechanical. Bones are out of alignment, rubbing up against each other. So you can take all the pills, you can take all the opioids and all the injections and all the stem cells, but until you put the bones back in place, you're not going to get to the cause of the problem. You're just treating the symptoms. Let me see. I got to check with them out here. No, not yet. I still got time. So you got to put those bones back in place. That's where we come in as chiropractors. We put the bones back in place. Then we get you on an anti-inflammatory diet, which we'll be talking about a lot today. And then we can get you on some enzymes, and we can get to bring down the swelling, but you got to put the bones back in place. That's why I'm begging you. If you have neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, numbness, tingling, folks, get to a chiropractor, because it's not just the pain. The bones are rubbing up against each other. They're actually wearing out, and that's not good. Still good, Mr. Ahmad? I guess so, yes. Another question?
I had a question about eating out vegan,
Yes.
yet they still use butter when they cook.
You got to ask them, is it vegan? And you got to say, that means no butter, no animal products. Because even Chinese places use chicken broth. That being said, is there any way to know? Well, if it's a vegan restaurant, yes. But other than that, what happens in the kitchen, you may not know. Still better to go vegan if it has a little animal product in it than eat the animal product. So most places are pretty good, though. They know. And I always tell them, too, I said, make sure it has no animal products. You don't want to see my reaction if I eat animal products. You don't want to have to clean up the restaurant. And then they kind of take it serious. Oh, I think I'm back on again here. Oh, not yet. Almost.
I'm going to try to pronounce this right. Diatomaceous earth.
Diatomaceous earth, yes. I'm getting a lot of questions about that. What is this buzz about diatomaceous earth all of a sudden? It's crustaceans, it's shells of animals that are long gone, they're prehistoric. And you can put it in your body. Make sure if you're going to eat it, it's food grade. I have to keep watching them out here. Oh, I'm back on. Hey folks, Dr. Joe here. So glad you could spend a little time with us today. It's always happy to have you guys here with me. What we're talking about today is avoiding opioids if we can. I'm going to give you a lot of statistics here on how dangerous they are, and then we're going to get more into the, pardon the expression, the meat of the issue. Drugs commonly implemented in accidents include opioids, which are narcotics for pain, amphetamines, which are stimulants, and benzodiazepines, which are depressants. cannabinoids, and cocaine. Many people still under the illusion that prescription drugs are somehow safer than street drugs. They're not. Okay, if you take a good prescription drug and it puts you to sleep, that's some good stuff right there. And you've got some pain and you take some opioids and it helps with your pain, that's some good stuff right there. This whole thing with the CBD oils, I don't know. I haven't had anyone get really great results with them personally. In Georgia, of course, you can use the CBD oils now. And CBD is an extract from marijuana, but it doesn't have the THC. So you're not getting high from it. So don't worry about that, okay? Because when they test your blood, they're looking for THC levels. They're not looking for cannabinoids. And there's a part of the nervous system, the cannabinoid system, that the pot, the CBD oils, can suppress the pain. So I really want to try it on some of my patients and see how we do with it. And I'm really excited about that as time goes on because I'm hearing good stories, but personally I haven't seen any miracles happen yet. So if you're looking at things like hydrocodone, oxycodone, they're very similar to heroin. So you got to be careful with that, folks. Prescription drugs is not a game you want to play. There's some really serious stuff going on here. And a lot of prescription drugs, including the opioid painkillers and the benzodiazepines, that they're prescribed for anxiety or sleep disorders, come with warning labels on them. Do not operate heavy machinery. Guess what? Your car is a heavy machine. Now at the break, we had a question come in about what do you do about osteoarthritis or arthritis of the low back. Osteoarthritis is mechanical. What that means is the bones are out of place rubbing up against each other. The only treatment, not to cover up the pain, but to treat it, is to put the bones back in place. Now, there are stem cells you can do, and I support stem cell. It's wonderful stuff. But if the bone is out of alignment, and you take stem cells, or you take pain pills, or you have surgery, or whatever it is, and you don't put the bone back in alignment, it doesn't solve the problem. It's treating the symptom, not the cause. So you really want to get to the cause of the problem, not just treat the symptoms. And that's what we do in our offices. And that's what I'm begging you. I'm on my knees pleading with you. Please get to the cause of your healthcare problem. Don't just treat the symptoms. You can treat the symptoms, but also get to the cause. You know, if you're overweight, I have lots of people come in who are overweight and they've had their stomach stapled. They've had surgery because that's going to help them lose weight. Could it work? Yeah, it could. I haven't seen it very successful though. That's where the problem comes in. Because people have tried it, and a family member of mine actually had it done, lost a lot of weight, and could only eat a small amount of food at a time because she had a lap band put on her stomach, so the stomach can only hold a little bit of food. Great idea. But what she found was she could still eat ice cream. Ice cream kind of slid down in between the band, and it was easy to get into the body. So she started eating a lot of ice cream, and guess what? She gained her weight back. And now she has a lap band, and she's overweight. So getting to the cause, if you're going to have a lap band or stomach surgery or whatever it is, you got to do some dietary changes. When you're hungry, you're not hungry for food, you're hungry for nutrition. And you've got to give your body mega doses of good quality nutrition, A, to catch up for lost time, and B, to continue on. That's why I created Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. If you're not taking them, folks, you should be. It's the minimum amount of nutrients you need in a day. Minimum amount. And you don't do it instead of eating well, it's in addition to eating well. I take Super Greens and Essential Source every day. I have them sitting in front of me right here at the studio. And if I have a big day, if I'm going to do a lot of hiking, if I've got a bunch of lectures lined up, maybe got a hot date at night, I'm going to go dancing or something, I'll take a double dose of Super Greens and Essential Source. And people that are really nutritionally deficient, I'll have them take it 2 or 3 times a day until we can get them caught up for lost time. So they're 2 powders, they taste great. I mix it with coconut milk, shake it up and drink it. Stuff's spectacular, relatively inexpensive for what you're getting. It just rocks. Prebiotics, probiotics, digestive enzymes, a complete multivitamin, fruits and vegetables in a powder form, alkalizing things like wheatgrass, barley grass, alfalfa grass. By the way, I can't say gluten-free, but there's no gluten in wheatgrass. Prebiotics and probiotics in there. Sea vegetables give you iodine. Most of you are iodine deficient. And iodine is necessary for every cell in the body. So I've worked my entire career making it quick and easy and inexpensive for you to do it so that you have no excuses. And the Super Greens, the Essential Source, are on my website, drjoe.com. I also take Dr. Joe's B Complex because most people are deficient in B vitamins. And when you start taking B vitamins, it helps your nervous system work. We're chiropractors at my offices. What do we deal with? The nervous system, right? If you're taking stimulants, if you're stressed out, if you're drinking coffee, chocolate, these are going to put a strain on your adrenal glands, bags under the eyes. These are signs of adrenal fatigue. And the adrenal glands produce energy, they help with inflammation, and they also help produce your sex hormones. You have your male and female genitalia that produce the hormones, but your adrenals also do as well. So I take adrenal support every day as well. And like I said, if I eat a meal that's all cooked, I'll have some enzyme support. Went out to dinner with my friend Tim, get some Ethiopian food the other night. Took some enzyme support. Why? I love Ethiopian food. They got some amazing vegan dishes. It's probably one of my favorite cuisines, if not my favorite cuisine. But I took some enzymes with it because everything was cooked. We also have nitric oxide. Whenever I mention it, my staff always laugh because people say everybody like rushes to the office and buys Super Green's essential source of nitric oxide. Nitric oxide opens up your blood vessels. So be careful. It can lower your blood pressure. So if you're taking blood pressure meds, just be careful, monitor your blood pressure. Then you got to give up the nitric oxide or the meds. It's always up to you what you want to do. But it increases circulation to your brain, to your reproductive organs. It's a family show, but nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Stuff works amazing. We got probiotics. I was at a party the other day. Somebody came up and said, Dr. Joe, what's a good probiotic? I said, Dr. Joe's Probiotics. He said, I've been meaning to take one. He says, if you recommend it, I'll take it. I'll go to your website and order it. All of these and a lot more on my website, drjoe.com. And if you have questions, you can send them to me through the website as well. I'm more than happy to answer your questions. All right, we're going to open up the phone lines now. 844-44-Dr. Joe, 844-44-DRJOE if you have a question. And see if we can get you on the air if you have any questions there. So we're talking today about avoiding opioids. How can we avoid the opioids if you're in pain? And we talked a little bit about it, that you have to realign the joints. If bones are out of alignment, you need to put them back in alignment. Pain is a warning sign. Pain is telling you that something's wrong. And if you ignore it or cover it up, chances are it's going to get worse. And most cases, major majority of pain is because bones are out of alignment, rubbing up against each other. We at our chiropractors, we put the bones back in place, and that helps with the pain, but it also helps prevent them from wearing out. And if the joints wear out, then you got long-term problems, and you're not going to be a happy puppy. So chiropractic care, of course, is to me an absolute no-brainer when it comes to pain management. Most of the medical journals now are publishing article after article about chiropractic care. Insurance companies are sending their patients to chiropractors because they're realizing it's quicker and cheaper than most other treatments when it comes to pain management. So we're kind of ruling the world right now when it comes to pain management. And I work with pain doctors. I work with doctors all the time that can do injections, that can do deal with this disc. If a disc is swollen, you may need surgery. So we have a team of doctors that we work with to get to the cause of your problem, not just treat the symptoms. I hear music. That means I got to go to break. Folks, if you have a healthcare question, give us a call, 844-44-Dr. Joe, 844-44-DRJOE, my website, drjoe.com. If you want to order my supplements, my books, if you have questions, you don't come on the air, you can always go to my website, drjoe.com. But give us a call right now if you have a question, 844-44-Dr. Joe. We'll be right back. There we go.
And back to diatomaceous earth.
Back to diet. Well, I've got to get my drink here. Hold on, Mr. Diatomaceous. Miss or Mrs.?
Mr. Could
All right.
be either.
I talk a lot. I drink a lot. If you're going to do diatomaceous earth, it's negatively charged. A lot of the junk in your body is positively charged. So when it goes into the body, it's highly negatively charged. It can attract positively charged ions, they're called, and flush them out of your system. Does it work? Yes. If you're going to do it, please make sure it's food grade diatomaceous earth. There's other diatomaceous earth that you can sprinkle around that'll kill cockroaches and ants. It kind of drives them up. So don't take that kind. Make sure it's food grade. Is it a good idea? Yes. I don't think you need it though. If you have bowel problems, you need to get your low back checked. That's the nerve that goes into the digestive system. We may have to pull your stomach away from the diaphragm. And we have Dr. Joe's intestinal cleanser, which is excellent for getting the bowels to release. The reason I'm not a big fan of diatomaceous earth is because it's actual animal shells. And so I don't know what's in those things. So I rather do Dr. Joe's intestinal cleanser. It's on the website, drjoe.com. Stuff works great. Next question.
We got two more.
Okay.
We got one for the negative side effects of Advil.
Read the bottle. I mean, okay. Again, we don't like to use brand names if we could avoid that. And that's why I kind of hesitated a little bit there. Okay. But acetaminophen blocks pain. Ibuprofen blocks inflammation. So ibuprofen and inflammation, acetaminophen is pain. The problem is if you block the pain, you don't feel the pain, which is sometimes good, but then you start to move around, and it can cause the problem to become worse. And you could get addicted to it, and it can cause some stomach upset as well. So if you could, I'd recommend chiropractic care and then ice over the area of pain, 20 minutes on, 20 minutes off. Get on an anti-inflammatory diet, which we're going to talk about coming up soon. Get away from the inflammatory foods, get on the anti-inflammatory foods. You might want to try turmeric as well. So try turmeric, try ice, and try chiropractic care first, if that's what you're looking for. But the side effects can be pretty rough there over time. Once or twice a week, no big deal. I'm not worried about it. But over time, it can become an issue. Next question.
Somebody's having a knee replacement after 35 to 40 years of bad knees.
Yep.
There's probably not much left there. What would you suggest?
I would try stem cells first. I would do the stem cells as long as you're still mobile and you're not debilitated pain. Try the stem cells. You can call my office. We have different doctors that do different types of stem cells. There's PRP, there's umbilical cord cells, and you can try those first, as that's what I would do personally, and see if we can regenerate some of that knee. But here's the key. The reason the knee wore out to begin with, because it's out of alignment. So you also got to get it put back in alignment, check the nerves in the low back that control the knee, and I think you're going to get much better results. And here's the thing. If you do need a knee replacement, let's assume you do, you want to be as healthy as you can going into the surgery and as healthy as you can coming out of the surgery. That's really important because I have a lot of surgeons send us patients and say, Joe, work on these people, do their diet, do the chiropractic work with them. I want them as healthy as they can going into surgery. Because doctors now are rated on their success rate, morbidity and mortality. Morbidity meaning how did they respond, and mortality meaning did they die. And so doctors are now sometimes turning away surgeries that are high risk. And I don't blame them. But a lot of times they'll send them to us to try to get them as well as they can so they get better scores. So that's what I would do. Next.
Best relief for gallstones?
Depends on the gallbladder. I'd have to read your CAT scan report and see what it is, because if you have gallstones, there are some ways you can get rid of them. There's one product called Stone Be Gone. I have nothing to do with this company at all, but you can try that. There are liver flushes you can do. You can look those up on the internet if you wanted to, but I wouldn't do it until if your gallbladder is diseased, you probably have to have it removed. That's just the way it is. If it's just gallstones, many times you can try a more natural approach to try to get rid of them. And a lot of people, if they don't have a diseased gallbladder, do very well with the natural approach. But once again, always check with your doctors.
All right, and what's...
Oh, gotta go back now. Sorry, folks. Keep the questions coming. What's the next question? Let's see if I can throw it in there, maybe on the
What are
air.
your thoughts on colonoscopy before 40?
Okay. I wouldn't do one. I've never had one, and I'm in my very late 50s. However, that being said, it depends on your lifestyle. It's not the colonoscopy I'm worried about, it's the anesthesia. I'm not a big fan of anesthesia if you don't need it, because it can really have long-term side effects. So, but having a healthy lifestyle, you want to talk to your doctor about that. If you have a really good healthy lifestyle, you take super greens and essential source, eat a plant-based diet, he may recommend you don't need them. All right, gotta go back on the air.
Listen to Dr. Joe Esposito every week on WSB.
Hey folks, Dr. Joe here. So glad we could spend a little time together. So happy. Hey, listen, do me a favor. Follow me on Facebook. Follow me on Instagram. Sometimes we broadcast our shows live on Facebook and Instagram, so you can kind of watch them there. We have a lot of good information we send out on Facebook and Instagram when we're doing lectures, live lectures. We lecture around the country, so we may be in your area. I know this show is the #1 health and wellness radio show in the world right now, as far as I know. So if you want to come listen to us, it's a good idea. If you like to just stay home, you could always watch them on my Facebook, on my website, drjoe.com. And we have well over 1,000 hours of podcast, video, and audio. And so we want to give you the information you need to naturally get well and stay well. So we're going to talk a little bit more about statistics, and we're going to talk about what to do to help avoid pain. Let's take a caller, though. Number's 844-44-Dr. Joe. Okay, I can't see your name. Oh, Robin, there you are. Hey, Robin, help me make your day better. Hi. Pull the trigger. Yeah. Good. Super Greens, essential source, yeah. Okay, so just so you know, Rob, some people may not have heard it. You bought Dr. Joe's intestinal cleanser and Dr. Joe's probiotics. What you can do is I would recommend take the intestinal cleanser at night. Okay, start with one. See if your bowels are moving 2 to 3 times a day the next day. If they are, you just need 1 a day. If they're not, go to 2 the next night. If they're working fine, then 2 is your number. Everybody's a different number. Probably don't recommend more than 3. I had a patient come in the other day, and she was taking Dr. Joe's intestinal cleanser. She goes, I took these couple of days and it didn't work. I said, give it time. It always works. I mean, trust me, it'll always work. You just got to find out what your number is, and depends how clogged up you are, of course. And then she took it next time she came in. She goes, okay, I got it. I take 3 a night and I'm perfectly fine. So then what I would do with you is take the probiotics during the day, like in the morning, let's say, and then do the intestinal cleanser at night. Okay? Anything else? Oh, Super Green's an essential source every day. Absolutely. I don't know of anyone in the world who would not do well with Super Green's an essential source. So unless you're on vitamin K. Yeah. It tastes very green. Yeah. It tastes really green, Robin. Yeah, that's why I like the coconut. Yeah. That's what I do. I take a Super Green, scoop of Super Green, scoop of Essential Source, coconut milk, shake it up and drink it at least once a day. The probiotics, you throw the probiotics in there too. What the heck? They're powder if you want to. Throw them in there too. Oh, yep. And you'll be blown away. Robin, you're so smart. Thanks so much. I appreciate that. We love Robin. She thinks I'm the best. Folks, if you have a healthcare question, give us a call, 844-44-DR-JOE. My website is drjoe.com, and lots of good information there. Podcasts, and you can get the Super Greens, the Essential Source, my books, Eating Right for the Health of It, Prescription for Extreme Health, the Nitric Oxide. We've got like 13 different supplements there. And if you have questions, you can always call the office, 844-44-DR-JOE. By the way, it rings through to my office when I'm not on the air. And you can always ask questions, and we're more than happy to answer them for you. You can send me questions through the website. We want to be accessible to you. We want to be your doctors. No matter where you are in the world, we want to help you get well and stay well. And that's why the website's there 24 hours a day. So we're talking about avoiding opioids, things that you can do to help avoid the opioids, and other drugs too. CDC's public health report study, prescription drugs are involved in fatal car accidents at 3 times higher rate than marijuana. So these are prescription drugs. We keep talking about the illegal drugs and driving under the influence. But you're taking prescription drugs, you've got to be careful. And it's really a perfect time in our world that we have all these rideshare companies out there. All it is a click on your app on your phone, and they'll tell you what time they're going to get there. They'll tell you what car they're in. I know I was in Seattle a while ago. I met with my syndicator, and we sat down, and I didn't have a car in Seattle, obviously. Just went on my app. Boop, there they were. 2 minutes later, boop, 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 drove us everywhere we need to go. It was great. So easier than even renting a car now. So I do recommend if you're on medication, don't think, oh, I can do this, I'm tough. You can't. 844-44-DR-JOE if you have a healthcare question, folks. Benzodiazepines are associated with the increased risk of dementia, certain cancers, premature death, and sleeping pills have been linked to certain forms of cancer and overall reduced lifespan. So a lot of folks come to us and say, Dr. Joe, we have sleep apnea. I was at a party the other day, and my friend, Big John, big tall fella, and he's talking about his CPAP, and listen, if you need it, use it, absolutely. And so I started chatting with him, and he says, I was listening to your show the other day, and you said something about the stomach pushing up against the diaphragm. Well, you have a sheet of muscle called the diaphragm, and when you inhale, the diaphragm drops down, you suck air in, you exhale, the diaphragm pushes air out. That's how you breathe. You create like a vacuum. Your stomach sits below your diaphragm, so if your stomach is all spasmed and pushed up against the diaphragm, the stomach may not be able to drop down. And in our offices, we do this all day, every day. We massage the stomach. We gently pull it away from the diaphragm. And then in many cases, when you lay down, the diaphragm is able to drop down and you can breathe again. Now, the nerve supply to the diaphragm is the 4th cervical nerve. It's called the phrenic nerve. And that's why if you're paralyzed below the 4th cervical nerve, you're not on a ventilator. If you're paralyzed above the 4th cervical nerve, you're on a ventilator. That's kind of how we know where the fracture is. And there's other ways you can tell too, of course. But the phrenic nerve is really important. So if you're in a car accident, or you have neck pain or back pain or headaches, and you're pinching the phrenic nerve, it can affect diaphragmatic function, which can affect how you breathe. and I can't tell you how many countless patients we've seen over the many years I've been around. We pull the stomach away from the diaphragm, adjust the neck, open up the nerve supply to the diaphragm, and the patient is now able to sleep better. Because again, I'm not a medical doctor. I can't take you off your medications. I can help you get well so that hopefully you won't need the medications. That's my goal. Because people say, well, I want to get you off my blood pressure medication. Well, the stomach is up against the diaphragm. It's affecting the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve also has some control over the heart. If the vagus nerve is being irritated, it can cause the heart to beat too fast, and that can raise your blood pressure. So many times we fix the digestive system, take the stress off the sympathetic, balance out the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nerves. Sympathetic speed you up, parasympathetic slow you down, and we balance that out chemically with nutrition and supplements, and we work on the stomach, work on the spine. We balance out the sympathetics and the parasympathetics, and everything starts to normalize. So many healthcare problems that many of you have are physical, not chemical. Not saying they're not chemical, but we're trying to get you off the drugs if we can. Folks, got to go to break. If you have a healthcare question, 844-44-Dr. Joe, my website, drjoe.com. If you want to get Super Greens, Essential Source, the probiotics, the B-complex, there's tons of supplements there. Just take a look at them and see. And if you have questions what to get, you can call us, what we recommend. If you want to make an appointment to come see us, we would love to be your doctors. In the Atlanta area, we have offices in Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge. So if we want to help get you well and keep you well. drjoe.com. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back. And there we go. Drink time. Question.
Here's an interesting question. Can getting an adjustment give you better blood supply to the brain and the scalp and help reduce hair loss?
Yes. Now, it's not going to do everything, because many times hair loss is related to something called dihydroxytestosterone. And as you get older, you produce more dihydroxytestosterone. But the answer is yes. It can increase circulation, helps with memory and brain function, and brain fog. So the answer is yes.
Best way to get rid of kidney stones?
You got to go to alkaline diet. Now, again, if you need to have them removed medically, please do that. But you got to go to alkaline diet. You got to give up the alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweetener. More fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. And Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source are excellent ways to alkalize the system. It's one of the reasons, in fact, I was at a get-together the other night, and I was talking to a bunch of attorneys, and the one attorney said something about, how old are you? And I said it, and he's like, you are not. And he guessed I was about 17 years younger than I am, which is pretty cool. And a lot of that has to do with being on an alkaline diet, because the acid gets into the connective tissues and causes the wrinkles. So, Super Greens, Essential Source, and plant-based diet. Try that. Next. All right.
What do you eat? Breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks?
I haven't eaten in 27 years. I'm starving right now. Hold on.
You eat grass, right?
Grass, weeds, bark. You know, trying to take the bugs out because I'm a vegan. No, I've never missed a meal. In the 32 years, whatever, 1986, so what is that, 32 years now, that I've been a vegan. I was on a cruise the other week, and we videotaped a lot of what to eat. So Garrett, the person you're talking to right now, he and I are putting together a little tiny mini documentary on how to survive a cruise. And so if you don't know what to eat, go to my website, drjoe.com. And we have, if you go to my lectures, my podcasts, you can listen to the show, So What Can I Eat? And it's absolutely free. It's my gift to you. It's a whole hour of breakfast, lunches, dinners, snacks. I eat Super Greens and Essential Source absolutely positively every single day. It's usually my breakfast. Today I'm also having it at night. Double dose today because I'm doing shows. Salad is usually one meal a day. Last night was my buddy Tim and I went out for Ethiopian food, and it was spectacular. But salad is always one meal a day. Breakfast is Super Greens, Essential Source, usually some fruit. Snack is a couple of handfuls of nuts. So 2 to 3 meals are right there. And then dinner kind of varies what I eat. But if you go to my website, you'll read it. And read my book, Eating Right for the Health of It. It gives you tons of ideas along with recipes.
Is there wheatgrass in the Super Greens?
Yes.
Thought so.
Yes. Now, technically, we can't say it's gluten-free because the government won't let us. However, gluten doesn't form until the wheat forms the berries. But because it comes from wheat, we can't say it's gluten-free.
What are your thoughts on jackfruit?
I like it. It's always seems to be barbecued. It's like the way everybody uses it for substitute for meat. But I like it. I think it's great.
And what are your thoughts on hyperthyroidism?
You know what? Hold that thought, because I got to do some liners right now. So hold that thought on hyperthyroidism, okay?
Partly cloudy tonight, low 72, mostly sunny tomorrow, highs 90. Atlanta's most accurate and dependable forecast is coming up. A faithful husband, loving son, and good friend. That's how relatives are describing airline ground worker Richard Russell, who authorities...
I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. This week we're talking about pain management, dealing with pain without taking opioids. Hey, Dr. Joe Esposito here. This week on my show, we're going to be discussing pain without... Cancel that one. Dr. Joe Esposito here. This week on my show, we're going to be talking about pain and how to deal with it without using opioids. Hey, we're talking about pain reduction without taking opioids this week on the Dr. Joe Esposito Show. Now, if you're watching us, the reason I do that is because the show is nationally syndicated. This show that you're hearing live, of course, is going to be all over the country, and it's played at different times. So, boy, lots of questions coming up here. Look at that. Prosthetic knees, seizures, cholesterol, sleep apnea, cervical dystonia. Holy cow, got a bunch of stuff. Okay, so anyway, hyperthyroidism. Hyperthyroidism is the precursor to hypothyroidism. What that means is your thyroid becomes hyperactive. Eventually, it burns out and becomes hypothyroid. So if the thyroid is hyperactive, something's wrong. And first thing I would do is get it checked, follow your medical advice. From a holistic standpoint, I would say stay away from bromine, chlorine, and fluorine. So get a really good water filter for your house. Filter the water that you drink. Get a filter for your shower because you don't want to absorb chlorine, because chlorine, fluorine, and bromine are haloids. Haloids, iodine's another haloid, and you need iodine to get into your thyroid to make it work. If you're blocking up your thyroid with haloids, you can't absorb the iodine. Now, that being said, there are some genetic conditions, like Graves' disease, for example, where the eyes start to bulge, and you really get hyperactive, and in cases like that, you may need medical intervention and perhaps even having the thyroid removed. Because if you get tachycardia, your heart's beating too fast, your heart can go into arrhythmia and you could die. So make sure you're managing this with your medical doctor, and then I would recommend some thyroid supplements as well in most cases, and we have those at the office. You can call the office. We use a company called Standard Process for a lot of our thyroid supplements. And check the fourth nerve supply. That's the nerve. The fourth nerve goes into the thyroid as well. Okay? Next question.
What do you think about raw wheatgrass powder?
We use it in our super grains. Absolutely. So I think it's great. And if you ever did wheatgrass juice, it has a very odd flavor, but it works amazing. Yeah, get a big rush from that. What else?
So you mentioned water filter. What kind of water filter would you suggest?
We have some on our website that you can get for under sink. If you want to get a whole house, you probably want to go to maybe, a big box store and talk to them there and see what your requirements would be. But you want to get the best there is. My grandfather, German immigrant, always said, always buy the best, it's always cheaper. And boy, is he right. I have a water filter, it's this big. I can't think of the name of the company I use now, and it filters every drop of water in my house. So.
What about coconut oil versus avocado oil?
They're both good. Make sure they're organic. Coconut oil has medium chain triglycerides, and that can convert it to ketones and helps you burn fuel more efficiently. However, they're both processed, so use them very sparingly. Coconut oil is very good for your skin, by the way. Good for your skin. Also good for lubricant when it comes to romance, because a lot of the romantic lubricants that they have on the market have chemicals in it that are endocrine disruptors. And if you're putting them on your genitals, it could be some real serious stuff going on. You can really mess up with your hormones. It's Jennifer again. So if you're going to use a lubricant, make sure that it's an organic one. They sell them. But coconut oil works great for that, so does avocado oil. So, but they're both good, but still use them sparingly because they are processed.
And can hypothyroidism be reversed?
It depends on how bad it is and what the case is, but I've seen it reversed many times, yes. But hypothyroidism means that the thyroid's pooped out. So we got to kind of get it jump-started. So the answer is yes, with the right supplements and a plant-based diet with chiropractic care. I've seen it happen. Can't promise you, but I have seen it reverse. So if you want to call our office, we're more than happy to set you up an appointment. I see Ahmad putting on the headset, so we're going to have to hold off on your thoughts there. See, this is what we're hearing here in the studio, guys.
Keep the questions coming.
Yeah, keep the questions coming, please.
Overnight, and as we head towards Monday,
I got a lot here online too.
Mostly sunny, hot and dry
so.
tomorrow with a high of 90. On Tuesday, mostly sunny, low 71, high 90. Just a 20% chance of a shower or thunderstorm by Wednesday. Otherwise, partly cloudy and a high of 91.
81 degrees on Peachtree Street at News 95.5 and AM750 WSB.
Here we go.
Depend on it.
The information presented on this program is not intended to take the place of your personal physician's advice, and it is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Discuss this information with your own physician or healthcare provider to determine what is right for you.
True independence comes from feeling good and staying out of the doctor's office. Get stronger and healthier with Dr. Joe Esposito on News 95.5 and AM 750 WSB.
Hey folks, Dr. Joe here. So glad we could spend a little time together. Thanks for being here. We're talking today about dealing with pain without opioids. And there's a lot of things you can do. And that's the cool part, is so many people don't know what else to do, and they go, well, the doctor gave me opioids and I'm kind of stuck. But that trend is changing, which makes me very happy. And in fact, we did a whole presentation with the Georgia Chiropractic Association, and if I have time, I'll go over that with you, on the numbers. It's a PowerPoint presentation, and discussing that there are options out there. And every day, I meet with, well, almost every day, I meet with my medical colleagues. And I was at a party the other day, and I was talking to a friend of mine who manages one of the neurosurgical offices that we refer to. And if I needed surgery, this is where I would go. And they're a great group of people. And we were talking, and I said, I send you guys patients all the time. You never send me any patients. And she said, you still practice? And I said, yeah, Joy, I do. And she said, I thought you just did radio and media. She goes, every time I turn around, you're on radio, you're guests on other shows, you're writing books, you're getting, on shows around the country. And I said, well, we like to think of us as the number, well, we are, as far as I know, the number one health and wellness radio broadcast right now. And she said, I didn't know you still practice. I want to send you a lot of patients. Because if it's not a surgical case, she goes, we're stuck. We don't know what to do with them. And I said, that's why I send you my surgical cases. You need to send me your non-surgical cases. So then we started talking to one of her doctors. And somehow dizziness came up. I don't know how it came up, but we started talking about being dizzy. And I said, well, if you've never thought about it, you have something called proprioceptive fibers in your sacroiliac joint, your tailbone area. And proprioceptive fibers tell you where you are in space. They're your balance. And after injuries of the low back, many times you can affect the proprioceptive system, which can throw people off balance. And a lot of patients are being treated for vertigo, inner ear issues, cerebellar issues. And it's not, it's a sacroiliac issue. Or jaw. Your jaw, your TMJ, if your jaw pops or cracks, that can throw you off balance and create dizziness and weakness. And the doctor looked at me and he said, that's brilliant. I've never thought of it like that before. You're absolutely right. And then I was out to dinner a while ago with a bunch of urologists who now I've become friends with. They started referring patients to us. And we were talking about, I said, what do you guys treat? And they said, well, of course, the usual stuff, prostate issues and urinary issues and menstrual problems. And I said, well, you realize that the uterus is attached to the sacrum by something called the broad ligament. And if the sacrum rotates, you're going to pull on the broad ligament, which will pull on the uterus, which can increase uterine pain. And he said, all the time we have patients come in with uterine pain and we can't find anything wrong. And he looked at me and said, that makes perfect sense. I love when they say this. I never thought of it like that before. So a lot of healthcare now is switching toward physical health because it's cheaper, very effective in many cases, not all, but many. And that's why so many doctors now, we're all starting to work together. Where 20 years ago, nobody worked together. Everybody's my patient, my patient. Now everybody's starting to work together. And that makes me very, very happy. And it's nice to know that this show is part of that, the trend that's driving doctors together to work together. And many times if doctors don't know what the other doctor does, well, they're wrong. They don't know what they're talking about. And then they sit down with us or whoever and go, oh, okay, now I understand it. We all have a purpose. All the doctors have a need or are needed in the healthcare field. And so we got a lot of callers. So let me finish up one more thought on benzodiazepines and sleep meds. What happens is your stomach's job is to take proteins and break them into amino acid. The amino acid tryptophan becomes serotonin in the brain. Serotonin becomes melatonin. Melatonin helps you sleep. So every case I've ever seen in 34 years of practice, plus my residencies, I find that if you have a sleep problem, your stomach is somehow involved. You're either not breaking proteins into amino acids to produce the neurotransmitters, or your stomach is physically pushed up against your diaphragm. And in our offices, my doctors are trained to pull the stomach away from the diaphragm, adjust the spine, open up the nerve supply to the organs. And in most cases, we're pretty rocking. And that's why a lot of doctors are amazed. You got this person off the medication. What did you do? And I'll explain it to them. Hey, follow me on Facebook. Follow me on Instagram. A lot of times we live stream these shows, and so you can watch them. We videotape a lot of our lectures. They're on my website, drjoe.com. This show is on my website, drjoe.com. Sign up for our newsletter. Send me your email address. And we're going to get you information when sometimes we have sales on supplements. We have specials going on just for our newsletter sign-ups. And so you definitely want to stay in touch with us. And the website, of course, is drjoe.com. Also available on Amazon. If you have an Amazon account, you can order supplements there as well. But we want to be your doctors. We want to help you get well and stay well. All right, let's start going through some calls here. I've been negligent here. Jack, how can we make your day better? I couldn't be happier, Jack. Thanks. Right. Sure. That's a tough one. Yeah, well, sometimes when they put the knee in, you're under anesthesia, so they don't know if it's exactly lined up properly. So many times when I see knees wear out, the feet come out of alignment. Or did the feet cause the knee? The knee caused, I don't know which one came first. But we adjust the feet, we adjust the nerve supply to the knee, which is the hip and the low back. And in a lot of cases, when we have the knee replacements, these people go, oh, finally I'm getting relief. Because there's probably some physical stress on that knee, even though the surgery was successful, that needs to be addressed as well. So come see us. We'll see if we get that fixed for you. Thanks, Jack. I appreciate it. And folks, if you do want to make an appointment, the number that you dial, 844-44-Dr. Joe, comes through to my office when I'm not on the air. Johnson, you there? Hello? Yeah, Johnson, Dr. Joe. Yes, sir. How can we help you? Sure. Sure. Yep. Sure. Right. I understand. Right. Uh-huh. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So your wife is having seizures. Yeah, you're having seizures. Medication is an issue. She's having reactions to it. We'd love to meet with her because many times, if it's not an organ problem, it's not a tumor in the brain, the top bone in the neck, the atlas, can rotate out of place and put pressure on something called the brainstem. And that many times is related to seizures. So I'm not saying come off the medication. I'm not saying we can fix her. But if you want to bring her in to see us, we'd love to check out the upper part of the neck. Then we'll look at her diet. Because if she's doing things like artificial sweetener can cause seizures. So we need to do a dietary workup on her. We've got to check her digestion, then check her spine. And we'd love to take a look at her and see what we can do for her. Okay? Oh, I guess I lost them there. And folks, if you do want to make an appointment, the number here is 844-44-Dr. Joe. That number rings through to my offices when I'm not on the air. If you want to order supplements, listen to podcasts, read articles, send me questions, drjoe.com. Hey, folks, don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back.
Does this sound like you? Neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, headaches?
Hey, who's that guy?
Chances are you'd benefit from chiropractic care.
No commercial going on here.
Most people benefit from
everybody listen to the commercial
because chiropractic care tries to get to the cause of your problems and not just cover up the symptoms. If you're ready to get well, I want you to go to my website, drjoeesposito.com, or call 844-44-Dr. and make an appointment for you, your friends, and your family today. We have offices in Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge. Make an appointment today so we can help get you well and keep you well.
Are you experiencing...
There we go. Sorry, folks. That was an older commercial with drjoeesposito.com. Holy cow, we got a lot of listeners, a lot of questions today. Yeah, when we're done, Garrett, make sure we talk to Ahmad. Have him send us that commercial, and I'll just redo it with drjoe.com. Okay?
Okay.
Good.
Got it.
All right. And then we got to send it to Steve as well, our syndicator. Mm-hmm. Okay, good, because we run that all over the country. All right.
Had a couple of people ask about Kratom for pain management.
Not a big fan. And the reason I'm not a big fan is because there's not a lot of research on it, and there's no sourcing. You can anybody can get it. So I'm just worried that it's too new and you don't know what you're buying. It's kind of almost like a street drug. So at this point, I'm going to say no. As time goes on, I may change my opinion on that.
And how do you treat bulging disc?
If the disc is bulging, depending what caused it, the bones, if the spine bones twist out of place, and that creates swelling. Just like if you sprain your ankle, it causes swelling. And we open up the vertebrae, all our tables and all our offices, open up the vertebrae, and as we pull apart the vertebrae very gently, sometimes we can suck that disc back in. Now here's the thing with bulging discs. 39% of all MRIs are false positive. So what that means is we could have 100 people with absolutely no symptoms whatsoever, 39 of them are going to have bulging discs. So you may have a bulging disc and you may have pain. 39% of the time, that bulging disc is not causing the pain. So you got to realize, just because you see a bulging disc on an x-ray or an MRI, I'm sorry, you don't go, oh, there's my cause. You got to dig a little deeper and make sure it's really true. Because 1 in 3, it's not.
So Brian wants to know, and this falls in line with last weekend's show, if he's going to eat beef once a week,
yes,
should he eat grass-fed or bison?
Grass-fed. Grass-fed organic. This way you know what it is. The bison, I'm assuming they're grass-fed, but I don't know that. So
here's an interesting question. Cilantro and chlorella for metal toxicity.
yes, absolutely. Yes. They attract the positive and negative charges. We talked about diatomaceous earth can attract the metals and pull them out of the system. So the answer is yes. It does work.
And what do you think about colloidal silver?
Very good, but you got to be careful not to take too much of it. Oh, yes.
When you take Kay, then take Donald, then take Cheryl, please. That's the order I received.
In that order?
Yeah.
I'm on it, man. Good. It's my screener there. We got to make sure we got these folks too, and not just you folks. Yeah, colloidal silver is great. It's an antibiotic, antiviral, antifungal, but just be careful not to take too much of it, because if you take too much of it, you can actually turn blue. No kidding. Your body turns bright blue. It looks like a Smurf, and it's non-reversible. So just be very careful with taking it. Follow the directions.
Roofroof.com. Tell them Dr. Joe sent you.
There you go. Another commercial.
So what are your thoughts on CBD oil? I know you just covered that.
Well, again, I want to see it work. And I'm being honest with you, I haven't seen anybody really use it. So good or bad, I don't have an opinion on it yet. I've tried it personally. I didn't see a whole lot of change, but I didn't need a whole lot of work either. So I'd love to try it with my patients and see how it works. I don't have an opinion on that yet.
And from what I've heard is to just make sure that it's a full spectrum.
That's true. Make sure it's the good stuff. Yeah. Just like the Creighton. That's what worries me too.
Can hyperthyroidism cause fluid retention?
Hyperthyroidism causes fluid retention. Probably. I've never thought of it like that before, but the answer is probably yes. And thyroid problems are really, really common lately, and it's really worrying me. So,
what would you recommend for small intestine bacteria overgrowth?
Dr. Joe's Probiotics, absolutely, positively, 100%. Dr. Joe's and if your bowels aren't moving 2 to 3 times a day, you need to get your spine adjusted, the low back, open up the nerve supply. And you've got to, Dr. Joe's Probiotics, and you can do Dr. Joe's Intestinal Cleanser. But the Super Greens, the essential source, have pro and prebiotics. And that's really important. You take the prebiotics as well as the probiotics. All right, folks, got to go back on the air, so hang on.
Also back down onto 285 on the inner loop back to Paces Ferry. You can use Highway 41 as your alternate. It's gotten a lot better. Road work up in Banks County, 85 southbound at exit 1.
Not in Atlanta, you get the traffic now, see?
That's blocking your right lane and slowing things there. Jill Nelson, WSB.
He can predict your health future by looking at your refrigerator. Learn what you should eat and what not to eat to get healthy. Dr. Joe Esposito is on News 95.5 at AM 750 WSB.
Hey folks, Dr. Joe here. So glad we could spend a little time together. It's really nice spending time with you guys, and thanks for so many callers. I do appreciate that. I was talking a little bit more about medication, but let's go to callers because I know a lot of you have been holding on for a long time, and I want to apologize for that. Kay, how can we make your day better? Oh, you're breaking up there, Kay. Yeah. I'm going to have to, I can't hear you, Kay, so why don't you hold on, keep listening off the air, okay? Because we're breaking up here, so I'm going to take you off the air. I'm going to answer your question about cholesterol and chiropractic, okay? So Kay had a question about cholesterol and chiropractic. She wasn't coming through, and that's okay, and it happens with phones, and I understand that, Kay. Cholesterol, a lot of new research out on cholesterol. It's really exciting. And we're finding now that for many cases, it's not that you have too much cholesterol in your blood. It's that you're not recycling the old cholesterol. So it's called receptor sites, and you have cholesterol receptor sites in your liver, and they're just not getting recycled. So the cholesterol that you're making is fine, and you're just not recycling the old ones. So what we can do is give you statin drugs, and statin drugs prevent your liver from producing cholesterol. They also block what's called the production of something called coenzyme Q10 or CoQ10. And so if you're blocking CoQ10, CoQ10 is necessary to get into the mitochondria in your cells and give you energy. And so a lot of people that are taking statin drugs get very tired. So one of the approaches we take is I don't tell people to stop their statin drugs. What I tell them is, let's see if we can clean up your liver. And your liver is the fastest healing organ in your body, which is really cool. So we get you on a good diet. We get you on a plant-based diet, lots of fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds, Dr. Joe's Super Greens, Dr. Joe's Essential Source, which is everyone should be taking it. Now, if you are on blood thinners, make sure you check with us first, and we'll tell you what to say to your doctor, because it does have vitamin K, which can thin your blood. Clot up your blood. And so you got to make sure we balance out the medication with the Super Greens, the Essential Source. Don't not take it. Take it so that, and try to get healthy. But that's the only time there's ever problems I've ever had with Super Greens and Essential Source. It's not a problem, it's just something we have to address. But if we can clean out the liver, get you on a good plant-based diet in most cases. If you're going to eat meat, we talked about it last week. We did a whole 2 hours on if you're going to eat meat, so you could listen to that show on my website, drjoe.com. We get you on some liver supplements, things like milk thistle helps work real well. We have some other ones we can get you on. And usually when we clean out the diet and get the nervous system working, get the digestive system working, most people, their cholesterol levels start to drop and they don't need the medication. So from a chiropractic standpoint, we check the nerve supply to the liver, which is the mid-back. We get you on a good diet, Super Greens, Essential Source, and some other supplements. And that's the approach I would take if I had high cholesterol. Again, don't stop taking your medication. Let's co-manage your case with your medical doctors. Let's take some more callers. Donald, how can we make your day better? You are welcome. Mm-hmm. Yes. Sure. Mm-hmm. Sure. So the question is, because some people are watching this on streaming on Facebook and Instagram, the sleep apnea with nasal polyps. So with sleep apnea, we always want to check the stomach to see if the stomach is pushed up against the diaphragm. We pull it back down. A lot of allergies occur because the stomach's job is to take proteins and break them into amino acids. And if the stomach isn't breaking proteins into amino acids, these relatively big chunks of undigested protein get into the small intestine, because they didn't get broken down in the stomach, and they can actually tear holes in your intestine, because some places in your intestine, it's only 1 cell thick. And if you tear a hole, your body can then absorb these big chunks of protein, and that's what an allergy is, the body attacking foreign proteins. So by fixing the digestive system, many times a lot of those allergies go away, and I've never seen any research on this. So what I'm saying now is my opinion. The acid can come all the way up into the sinuses. And I wouldn't be surprised if the acid going into the sinuses might have some connection to the polyps. Again, I have no proof of that, but it certainly makes sense to me. So if we can get the stomach working properly, get you on some good digestive enzymes, Super Greens, Essential Source, more raw foods, open up the nerve supply to the organs, in many cases, we've seen problems like this go away. So, my pleasure. Come see us. Thanks, Don. I appreciate that. How we doing? We got time here. Let's take one more caller here. Cheryl, how can we make your day better? You are welcome. Yes. Yes. Sure. Uh-huh. Right. Sure. Right. Sure. Sure. Uh-huh. Sure. Right. Okay. I understand. Now, so cervical dystonia, a lot of muscle spasms, neck pain, headaches. Why won't they touch your neck? I'm kind of curious about that. I understand. Right. Sure. Uh-huh. I understand. Sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, one of the issues that we find with cervical dystonia, muscle spasms, is you have a pinched nerve in the neck, and that nerve controls the muscles. So if we can get those bones put back in place and open up the nerve supply to the muscle, not all cases, but many cases, the dystonia responds wonderfully. And so, I've seen many cases of cervical dystonia. My staff has, of course, and I. And by putting the bones back in place and getting you on good nutrients, because you need good potassium and sodium, because sodium and potassium make the nerves work, usually we get some pretty good results. I can't promise anything to you, but we'd love to see you and see if this is something we can help. My pleasure, Cheryl. Thanks so much. All right, coming up on a break here, folks, so I'm going to talk a little bit. If you're on hold, please keep hanging out. I know we've got Daphne, James, and Phyllis hanging on there. I'm going to get to you as soon as I can. So we're talking today about avoiding the medications, if you can, when you have pain. And again, I'm not against the medications. There was a period, a while ago, actually, where I hurt my low back. I have an old fracture in my low back. I've got a messed up spine. And I woke up one morning, I could not get out of bed. I mean, I physically couldn't breathe. I couldn't move. I had to pee. I couldn't pee. And luckily, one of my friends, who I'm her patient, she's one of my medical doctor friends that I work with, and I called her. I had her phone number personally. I said, listen, I'm so sorry to call you at home. Can you somehow maybe help me out? And she called in a prescription. I called a friend of mine. They picked it up, brought it to my house, and I was able to move again. And after that, I went to the office. I went to my team of chiropractors. We got it adjusted, and I was fine. And sometimes you need medication. I'm not against that. But we always try to avoid the medication if possible. And most doctors that I work with also want to avoid the medication if possible. So folks, I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. If you have any questions, well, we've got lots of callers. But if you don't get through to us today, you can always go to my website, drjoe.com, send us questions. If you want to get the super greens, the essential source, the B complex, the adrenal support, the enzyme support, the nitric oxide, the colon cleanser, all that's on the website, drjoe.com, also available on Amazon. And we have hundreds of hours of podcasts on my website, drjoe.com. Hey, don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back.
Neil Bortz here. I've known the people at Vision Computers.
Shuffling you guys and these guys. It's a lot of fun stuff here. All right, next question. Go ahead.
So what do you think about quinoa, barley, farro, wheatberry?
All good stuff. They're all good, but again, they're all grains, folks. And so they do have lectins. They do break down into sugar. So if you're going to use them, using very sparingly. I'd rather you do that than wheat, absolutely, and white rice. So quinoa is probably my favorite of all of them. So I would go with the quinoa if I had to pick one. But again, very sparingly. They're still a grain. They're still sugars.
How to heal costochondritis?
Costochondritis.
Chondritis.
You'll be doing my show pretty soon, Gary. You're going to handle this. You and Amada are going to take over for me, I think, someday. Costochondritis is where the ribs meet the sternum and there's an inflammatory condition. And it hurts like a son of a gun because the joints are there. And just like if the spine moves out of place, you have pain, these joints can move out of place and you get pain. So what we need to do is check the attachments from the rib from the back and the front and start to manipulate them back into place. Then we always get you on an anti-inflammatory diet, avoiding the alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweetener. More fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds, Dr. Joe's Super Greens, Dr. Joe's Essential Source. So yeah, we want to make sure we're getting all the right things in your body to bring it down. But costochondritis, again, is a physical issue as well as chemical. You need to adjust the joints as well, I find, to get the best results.
So earlier you mentioned that you eat a salad at least once a day.
Yes.
What kind of salad dressing?
In my book, Eating Right for the Health of It, we have a whole chapter on salad dressings. My easiest, quickest go-to salad dressing, 1/3 apple cider vinegar, 2/3 some type of oil, olive oil, avocado oil, walnut oil, sesame oil. Then I'll add some water as well to dilute the apple cider vinegar. And you can use air-dried sea salt, which is what I use. I think air-dried sea salt is the only salt you should ever use. And then you can get crazy with it. You could add some ginger to it if you wanted to. You can add some hot pepper to it. You can add some garlic to it. But I just shake it up, make it myself. It's so darn cheap, and it's great. The apple cider vinegar helps your digestive system as well. But again, sparingly. Those are processed oils. So,
what would you do for minor skin burns?
Ice. Okay, if it's a minor burn, and then I put coconut oil on it. Sorry, I got Jennifer my ear here. And then coconut oil. It's a minor burn. If it's a major burn, of course, you need medical treatment. Absolutely.
And then going right along with that, what would you recommend for healthy skin?
Everything I've just talked about. Dr. Joe Super Greens, Dr. Joe Essential Source. Now, you can take coconut oil and rub it on your skin. A lot of people do, myself included. Rub it around your eyes. It helps with the wrinkles. It helps keep moisture into the skin. So taking coconut oil externally is very, very helpful for healthy skin. But skin is an indicator of your overall health. So acne is almost always a liver issue. Other skin issues, I always got to look to the liver for everything. So, yes.
All right, so Brian's wife, she's 52. She has hot flashes.
Yes.
Take Super Greens and Essential Source once a day.
Good.
What else would you recommend? Black
cohosh. If you call my office, we have some herbs as well that we have for women with hot flashes as well to help balance out the hormones. But black cohosh is one of them. There's some other ones too. Adrenal support. Dr. Joe's adrenal support is important to keep the sex hormones up normally again. But if you call the office and ask for the hot flash protocol, my staff can give that to you.
So we have a student here who's wondering how to keep their brain as sharp as possible. And I guess I'll reword that and say, how in the world did you get all the degrees that you got and stay focused and sharp?
You mean my 7 degrees and 23 certifications? All before I was 30 years old? Those? Yeah, okay. A lot of it has to do with not so much what you do, but what you don't do. You want to avoid the alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweetener. Some tricks I did, this is back in the days of cassette recorders. They go, if you look them up online, you'll see what they are. And I would record my notes into my cassette recorder because I'm reading it, I'm saying it, and I'm hearing it. The more neurological input you put into the brain, the easier it is to remember something. So that's what I did. And then I'd go for a walk, and I'd listen to it. My Walkman. I'd walk, and as I'm walking, I would walk in the woods because it's uneven, and uneven surfaces would send more neurological input up into the brain. And so it's more likely to get it rock solid. So record your notes. You have your phones now. Go for a walk, preferably on uneven surface if you can, and that's going to help tremendously getting that information up into your brain. I would take Super Greens and Essential Source. Now we have nitric oxide. Nitric oxide opens up the blood supply to the brain, works wonders for all areas of the body, including a lot of people are now using it like a little blue pill. A lot of guys are using it because it's helping with performance, and it's not just for men, it's for women as well. Because women need circulation as well, and so sometimes women say, I just don't have real romantic drive, it doesn't feel good. Get the circulation going, and a lot of women report that it works a lot better. And the adrenal support for hormones as well. But that's one of my tricks, is keeping my brain sharp. A lot of water, and absolutely no alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, artificial sweetener. Trust me, you'll be happy with that decision.
So Michelle would like to know what your thoughts are on bioidentical hormone pellets.
I'm going to say something that's not popular. I don't believe there's anything such as bioidentical hormones, because your hormones are different than mine, Michelle, versus different than Garrett's, different than Ahmad's. We all have estrogen, we all have testosterone. Everybody's a little different. So what I like to do is try to get your body producing its own its own hormones, as opposed to taking them from an outside source. And if you're watching, folks, I keep looking at the clock over there. That's why I can't be off, because we're nationally syndicated, so I got to make sure we're right on. So if you're wondering why I keep looking over to my left, Maud's laughing at me over there. Why? Maud's my producer, by the way. Best producer in radio. So I'd rather try to get to the cause of the problem, not just treat the symptoms. And that goes for bioidentical hormones as well. If you're going to do them, I'd rather you do bioidentical hormones than synthetic hormones, absolutely. But I would rather that you try to get your own body producing its own hormones. Traffic coming in now, so I should be on soon. How soon? Okay. All right, we got about a minute. Okay.
All right, testosterone loss in males over 50.
Same thing we just talked about. Okay. The adrenal support is very important. Now, if it's really serious, I can get you on some testicle support as well. And we have supplements actually that can actually stimulate the testicles to help with that as well. I'm not a big fan of taking outside hormones, because if you take them from the outside source, you don't produce them from the inside like you used to. And so you can shut down your own production. If it's possible. If it's not, you can always take them. So, we've got 30 seconds. Go ahead. Any more?
30 seconds. So what type of coconut oil is the best? Refined, unrefined, cold pressed,
unrefined,
virgin?
cold pressed, extra virgin. Organic is going to solve all your problems. Organic gives you everything you need. Just the word organic is all you need, and you're good there. Coconut oil gets hard around 74, 75 degrees. So if it gets hard and it's colder out, don't get nervous. That's just the nature of a saturated coconut oil like that. And it's a good saturated fat, not a bad saturated fat. Oh, here we go.
I listened to him sooner. Dr. Joe Esposito. on News 95.5 and AM750 WSB.
Hey folks, Dr. Joe. So glad we could spend a little time together. We're talking today about avoiding medications if we can in pain management. I'm not against the medication, but here's a little something I want to throw in, then I'm going to start taking some more callers. On-site chiropractic care reduces healthcare utilization. Owning and operating your own business can be quite an undertaking. Not only do you have to properly look for your consumers to ensure you're still in business in 10, 20, or 50 years, you need to look after your employees. After all, your success is largely determined by the ability of them doing their job, making the right health decisions, and their happiness is critical. According to a study in the Journal of Occupational and Environmental Medicine, one way to enhance your staff's wellness is by reducing their healthcare utilization, going to the doctor less, which also lowers your costs as well, and this can be done by offering on-site chiropractic care. So once again, another study out, Journal of Occupational and Environmental Medicine, that if employees are receiving chiropractic care, they're going to probably spend less money on health care, they're going to be happier, and it's going to help you with your business as well. So this is another reason why so many companies do send their workers' comp patients to our offices, because they realize that chiropractic care, studies have shown, is usually less expensive, more effective with less downtime than people that don't receive chiropractic